All right. How are we doing, guys? Today we sort of just need to plan out some stuff. This will be quite general, and we will see what life brings us. All right. So this is our first try to use Zoom for YouTube videos, and very fun, right? Yeah, I know. So the idea here is to I'm gonna we're gonna see just some general stuff today, and we're gonna see what is up. And can I see my screen share? Okay, here it is. This is gonna feel like a lecture if you ever have one online. So let's do this. Let's nope, nope, nope. Let's just start a subject. Let's call it a because it's for the purpose. Let's just call it YouTube. And I like to edit this into color red so that it definitely looks like YouTube now. And it's cool. That's how I started. So what should I share with you today? Okay. We can start from some very basic stuff. I would like to tell you my big 5 goals I currently have for life. Big 5 goals for life. The first one. I like to talk about my novel. I have one. Started to write it in 2022 summer, and the name, please note, is called Sap Boy, which definitely reflects what I was thinking at that time. All right, let's say I plan to do this prior to graduation, so May the 2028th. We will definitely spend more time to talk about what the novel is about. But for now, let's move on. Second one is, of course, I am in college, so the second plan would simply be complete the studies. So now I guess I have to introduce more about what my studies are. At the time would expected time would also be May 2028, same thing. But okay, it's time to introduce more about myself. Sorry, I didn't have slides for this, but my name is Michael, and last name is Shi, as you probably can tell just staring at the corner. Uh, so I am a current freshman student in NYU. My college would be College of Arts and Sciences. We call it CAS. My major is econ and math. Let's break this down a little bit. So econ is the thing I was super interested in high school. High school, by the way, I might talk about it a lot. It's in Princeton, New Jersey. It's called the Hun School of Princeton. And then math is just more like required. If you want to do upper econ, you better take some you better take some math courses because that's gonna basically work out. And here's an interesting thing. So we have this first years in their first semester have this thing called a cohort. So basically you have a instructor and then your college leader who's probably like a second year student. So the college, so CAS, would send them materials and say, okay, yeah, please teach them to your cohort so they become fine people. They know how to what do we learn? We have it every Thursday, and last Thursday we learned about time management, but basically skills for first years to adapt to their lives. Right, time management. I definitely feel like some friends need that. Just a joke. Okay. But a cohort is consists of a bunch of first years and having the same major. Basically, those two. That's why you see a person in a cohort, because you guys are in the first year and you are being placed together because you have the same major. And my cohort is quite interesting. So obviously we're all econ math majors, and 90% of it is Asian. Uh, that's quite interesting. And if you talk with people, you do some research, about like half of them want to go to Stern, the Stern School of Business. Yeah. Well, here's what most parents, or sometimes including students themselves, believe in about a certain school of business is that you can somehow, like currently you're in CAS, right? You're not ruined, but you want to turn from CAS, you want to do this thing is called internal transfer. You want an internal transfer, which means you got to have a nice GPA, better got a resume, preferably referrals, I suppose, and also just like write essays about yourself. But you do these, that's the internal transfer process. You get into STRIP. And what is commonly believed that you got to do the business school. Oh my God, you got to do business school. What is business? What are you supposed to learn? I don't know. Most parents don't know. And but by that context, I mean like sort of international parents who are not in the industry before. But like if that would be the case, that it is commonly believed that um, you got in there, you finished your school, just like graduate from there. By that, I mean like you don't do any extracurriculars, just being a nerd with your assignments, or you're just like barely struggling to finish your assignments. That would be so lame. By the way, just please do some other stuff in college. And then you possibly would just get hired by some nice bank, like sponsor you for a work visa and a work visa sponsorship, and say you just like work there for Loki like some good years, and then you get permanent residence, or we usually call it a green card. And dear parent, that is such a glorification, glorification. And personally, I have not been in the process, but I heard a lot of like senior students yapping about how this whole thing is done. Definitely feels harder than what you think it is. Yeah, yeah. By that I mean, hey, I'm also like one of the half of the group who wants to transfer into STEM. Also thinking about it, currently not writing the essays, but definitely thinking my ways to like work towards it. And let's see. And now let's just go to the third point. So the first point was about the novel Sad Boy, and the idea was to okay, so it is a novel. I wrote it in Chinese. Um, it might take years to for me to translate the full thing into another language, but basically, let's introduce more about this novel now. So this novel is like a fanfic based on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And we changed the part six ending because I don't like how it ends, basically. And yeah, and we will, like we as in the team that the protagonist, aka Michael, built, and timeline starts in 2022, the time I start to write it. And the team will basically travel through like part six, 3 to 6 locations. And then sometimes we'll have original characters from the created ones, or sometimes like new people that usually if it's a created character by me, not by Akira, that case would be this person probably has like a real person as the model. And by model, I mean like sometimes I ask when I feel like I'm close enough with a friend, it's like, okay, I'm having a novel, would you like to be in it? And sometimes they say yes to it, sometimes they don't. And if they say yes, that's a fun one. Now we start just like designing a character. And I would also like to slightly explain why I sort just like what you're gonna see in this novel. So basically, what I define as cool stuff. This whole novel, please remember, is a pursuit of coolness, kakoi, or just cool. Or that's the whole idea. And like what do I find cool? So I'm just gonna list out a few stuff. So first, this is JoJo themed. So definitely stand fight, intellectual fight. And then what okay, I watched a lot of martial art movies. I'm a total fan of the whole Yip series. So martial arts. is another cool thing for me. Like here's the idea that is slightly different from basically like a typical part three stand fight. Imagine Jotaro's here and then Dio's here and they're just posing right at the stands, they're just punching each other. Like that thing, for me, it feels a little bit too rigid. It's good that we see from part six that we have a greater participation. I'm just gonna yell this out: participation in stand users instead of posing. Uh, Participation in users, different thing from posing. Like you're joining the fight. Your stand is fighting. You're fighting. It is gonna feel like a chaos. It's like 2v2 in some ways. But every stand user in my novel sort of possesses a sort of fighting technique or like just learn martial arts as a kid. Don't ask me why that is. It's just cool that everyone can do something instead of, oh, I am so physically feeble, I can do absolutely nothing. Whenever someone summons the stand and like starts to chase my ass, I just have to run for my life. That is so boring. Please just get better. Right. So obviously we just mentioned Hitman series. Um, it is I watched all four movies. I still go just rewatch it sometimes. So obviously Michael, the protagonist, possesses Wunchon. Personally, I am in the school karate club, just learning how it's done. A big plan aside from finishing the studies is actually just let me write it real quick. Black belt in 4 years. The coach said that is theoretically a doable thing, right? Black belt in 4 years. Just right there. So theoretically achievable, but to be honest, very hard if you just like with that basically means without leaving at all, which definitely it fits my plan here. Like if I want to do a recruiting process in the future, I would not fly back to China. So like yes, I'm from China. I decided not to fly back because I don't know much about it. Um, just and plane tickets, and you gotta use your breaks for like more important stuff. For those reasons combined, I am perfect fit just to stay here for every break. Um, so you gotta stay here for all practices. They do that in winter and summer breaks. You don't leave. You show up for every practice. You sometimes you get tested during the summer. That's the pacing it takes to get a black belt in 4 years. No one's done it so far. Everyone who's done it is Loki like a who's in grad school when they get that. But he said it's theoretically it's doable in 4 years, and I want to be the first one to do that. I also have some low confidence, and I believe just doing something that one ever did before would just be a great help whenever I think of I did something that helps. Yeah. Right. Oh, and by the way, I'm like currently sick, but don't worry, that does not spread through video. You're totally safe on that end. Let's continue with some cool stuff that I want to put in a novel. So, let's see. There's another thing that it's just you will see great resemblance in here. Just uh, something like a mutant power from X-Men. Yes, I watched too many movies, so what? But the idea here is just to um, what do I mean by I wrote extra? What I mean by that? So basically, like in any cool anime or movie or whatever, most of the case there is some sort of power system in here, right? And that's just like based on stuff. So based on what I watched, so JoJo, the stuff, special stuff in there would be Hamon. We have stands later, and then if you ever reach part seven, Kaiten, yeah. So that's their system. If you think about X-Men, it will always be their mutant genes, right? Yeah, and if you watch One Piece, we also have the Devil Fruit. Um, and then last thing, I don't know what it's called, but I sadly know a great deal of Jujutsu Kaisen and Jujutsu, basically. I guess that's the name. But like, so all of these, if you think about what they are, let me just give some space. If you think about what these are, so first thing, this is something more than a regular human can do. You can get physically strong, but this feels like more than a human. And So like you can do something that cannot be done just by physically getting strong. Okay. Say you have higher front ring and you can throw emeralds from afar. Can't do that. Okay. Unless you buy a gun that makes you me stuff, but you get the idea, right? And the second part of it would be just uniqueness, because most of it, unless you're thinking about certain cases in the mutants, which they just like just get the powers of another person, that would be a very special case. But generally, you can't. Like everyone has their own stuff. That is definitely true in most cases, unless you're talking about, oh, we have the same type of stance, or like Jujutsu Kaisen. Basically not, unless you physically possess the body, I guess. Devil fruit is likely the case, unless like everyone just looks like they have extra fire capabilities, or like you're like special unexplained way to steal someone else's devil fruit. That is never actually really proven how to do, but like you get the idea, right? A unique, more than human stuff. That's what's considered cool in me. So we are gonna spend some time just to talk about what my person. That's just like we're just gonna get started on this. Like I will probably give more videos about like what like certain characters in my whole novel is like. I was just like to spend some time to introduce a character or two one by one. And so today we are after the five big goals, we are also gonna just like explain the protagonist, which is me. My just like we're just gonna introduce the stamp power a little bit, right? So just before we do that, just spoiler alert, my stand takes forms in like several stages. It's like the Koichi Echoes Act 1, 2, 3. And the first form of it was like it's more like an inner voice. It's just like me putting my thought into your head and hear this. I can hear your thoughts without like verbal actual communication, and that uh, and then that does if you think about it, it sort of feels like Charles Xavier, right? Yeah, but like not the crazy level that I can just like pause everyone's like I can pause everyone's emotions. And another like a counterpart to that would be this power works on animals, and that is like the very first thing that we show in the book is that this mind works on animals. I believe it is shown in the movies that Charles Xavier's powers doesn't work on dogs. Yeah. So I'm just like side scrolling about this. Let's just move on to the fourth part of the big goals. The fourth of the number four of our five big goals would just be like let's get realistic, a job. Like, oh, maybe I forgot some stuff before that. So as we talked about cool martial art fights, a thing would be like, what are we, what form are we putting this out in? This is a novel, so words, sentences. Okay, say if I want to do stuff like I want to block a hit, do that, go for your neck. Like these are the stuff I can do, right? In a video, if we're doing anime or anything, that takes like 3 seconds, right? But if we want to write it in words, we just have to expand our sentences. If we want to clearly describe to the reader, like what the hell I just did, we need to expand long sentences. Like you want to be precise, you want to be accurate, you want to be informational. Sentence. How do you spell sentences? Right. So so I believe currently I only have the capabilities to produce in the form of a novel. That means we just have to sometimes take that long sentences. I want to describe a fight in the best way there is, and you will figure it out as you read it if you learn Chinese, I guess. But like I do believe like manga or anime would be a better form to express these fights. The fights are like they just show up in my head. I sort of know like when he punched like that, what should I do? I should just like change to like yeah, there's like something serious behind that. But I do believe like manga or anime would be a better form to display these fights, like like and that would be much simpler if we do it from point of view, if you see images, right? For now, we can only make words, but as I move on, as I know more people who knows how to do these stuff, we will try. This would take like local years, so hopefully sometime around 2035, somewhere like that. We're gonna turn the novel into anime. Um, I'll definitely figure out my ways to work on that. And the fourth thing that we mentioned is to get an actual job because that thing up there, it's a dream, right? That's something I would just want to do in my life. I was just like, I just feel like, oh yeah, my life is complete if I can do that stuff. That's a dream, and now let's talk about reality, which is we still need to get fed. I still need to eat lunch possibly every day, unless I wake up like in the afternoon. With that being said, I need to get a job, and preferably I can stay in the US, right? Um, just considering from a very realistic angle. I had my education in the US basically ever since high school, actually. Um, it's rather like young when you leave and you didn't form like the ultimate part of adolescence. You did not grow up in China, and so I don't get how young people like change themselves or like how like most work or um, a office culture or whatever that is. It's like in China. I don't know what it's like. I believe I will definitely spend great years in the US and everything I learned, like after since I have like clear memories, I have a good cognition of what's going on. That's done in the US, so I still just stay here, you know. So preferably I can just get a job and keep staying here. Hey IRS, if you ever see this, just give me a green card. Por favor. Gracias, bonjour. Yeah, and so and then we're gonna talk about a job you want to find a track of what this is in. So currently a lot of or like this is commonly just talked about because finance, Wolf of Wall Street, make tons of money, right? Yeah, yeah. A lot of people talk about finance, so I learned these words: investment banking, private equity. There is a nice high school alum who told me little stuff about consulting. And these are options. These are like the options I had a little knowledge about. It will be very crucial for me to like learn more about all the options, figure out which one I want to do. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna share this real quick. I was in Wells Fargo's bank one on Broadway days ago, and I was talking with my banker who definitely, his name is Frank. Frank definitely told me just a bunch of very useful stuff. Bro's very available on LinkedIn. Okay, I forgot to spell his last name. Please don't watch this video, Frank. But um, he told me about something about like cool stuff about how he reached here, and he's 28, but making the level of general on average like this 30-ish age group average. So he's totally on the lead in his age. And I asked him how he made it. So some life stories. I should not share those, but one thing I learned from him was that I should make a clear 5-year plan, and you really have to figure out my place. This is like so cliche, right? Oh, where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? I never really found a good response on that one. But according to him, I actually should just think about what industry, what fits me, go through all the options and find out the thing, like what would be the thing you can do for the future 5 years. Like you're gonna enjoy it. Don't think short term. Don't think this is gonna be it. I'm gonna suffer through this. If you hate it, don't do it. Like remind me on that one. Just like keep figuring out my stuff. Like what industry I want to work in. I I currently speaking, I have a great advantage of having time, right? I'm being young, I'm just college first year. I need to figure out the options. And I'm first generation college student. I don't know much of what things are, how that is. Basically, my mom's a housewife, doesn't like we don't know stuff. We need to learn stuff. So learn stuff. And we need to learn about the world. We gotta figure out what I want to do. So learn about world, learn about me, So that naturally brings out the fifth point, which is that thing. So here's a good term. If you learn anything from this video, you should learn sheesh. And so basically, you know that my last name is she, and sheesh is basically the way of the she, and the she would just be me. Okay, and so the she takes form in two parts. The first one, the language, basically is still in English, but sometimes I will use certain word combinations that are not the literal meaning, but if you stay with me for long enough on this channel, you will get what I mean by certain stuff. Simple stuff, basically, very simple sentence. You is sus. That's a typical speech sentence. I definitely say that to my friends every day. Whenever I see them, that's like a good morning, I say to them. You get it, right? You see the words you is sus. But what I mean by that, it means good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. That's what I mean. You get it, right? The language is being like deviated, distorted when it's in my mouth. And the second part would be the philosophy. I'm just gonna write Fido because I forgot how to spell the whole thing. So English is second language. Now, but the thing is, I have certain beliefs, or like, here's a simple thing where everything is based. But basically, you are a collection of your past events, right? And by that I mean like everything you went through, like it didn't just like it happened. To my belief, it definitely left a mark on you. Like it might be in some areas without your conscious, but it definitely left a mark in you, and that will become part of you. So I see that in myself a lot. I like to review my past events and figure out like, okay, like I am currently like this. How is that formed? Just trace back in history and family, whatever happened when I was younger, and I figure out, okay, that's exactly what built me right now, right? And so great stuff that I sort of derived. Like this is almost like a theorem, you can say, but basically, like I would say, would no one understands each other. And I do feel like a lot of people say, oh, but I'm so empathetic. No, you can be, right? Someone's having some emotion, and you believe that, okay, to my perception, that one looks sad, but are they? You know, perception can be easily tricked. Read some Sherlock Holmes and stuff, you probably figure that out. Um, I don't believe that my perception of other people's emotions are correct. I believe most people are very incorrect when they're trying to do that. They just assume that, okay, yeah, assume joke. They would always assume that I'm right and I can tell what's going on here. And probably no. And even if you're talking with a person, they would just like to portray themselves in a certain way so you don't think me as a monster. I will word my thoughts. I will not show the bad parts. Like even if you're talking with a counselor, a therapist, or something, you won't show everything, right? Right. You don't do that, right? And that's not what I do. But like even when by that time you won't be clean, you won't be clear with everything, like you still hide stuff. That's why I believe that no one understands each other. Okay. And there's a lot of stuff we can derive from it. And for example, first derivative would be that's what do I get? What do I get from like what I think of when I say no one understands each other? Well, here's something we can do, fix the grammar, and then it's just like, well, okay, here's the thing. Very typical thing I see in colleges. I see it too many times in my peers. You're in college first year. You're never been in the U.S. before. You got here. You want to explore. You want to explore everything about this country. So naturally, you walk into some bar that does not check the age, and you get drinks there. Maybe you got too many drinks there, and you walked out. You're totally drunk or something, and you don't know how wait like you don't really remember how the heck you got back to your dorm, but you wake up 70 hours later, you figure out that's how long you slept, right? And then you figure out that and just like, oh, I'm out of class, like I'm not time for class or something. And oh well, sucks to be you. But like so for any reasons, gaming, alcohol, substance, whatever, I don't actually care. You overslept and you figure out you're late for class and you don't know what you learned in class. You spend more time to relearn, which you should do in class, but you can't because you missed that. You spend more time on that, and then just like you got like your words, your work load up, and then you just like you have to sleep later because you have so many stuff, and then just say you work until like 4 or 5 a.m. and then you go to sleep. You somehow stupidly sign up 8 a.m.s for every day, and you definitely miss that 8 a.m. following day, and you see you miss another class, and you have to just make time for that. And then you realize, oh, I just missed the assignment now, and you have to like spend time to make up for that, and you possibly like lose grades just for being late. It's like, don't you see how that starts? And I've faced these cases. I've faced people who are doing that, and it never worked out. Like you can definitely give out all the suggestions, all of your wisdom out. Lemon was just don't take it, which is the shitty point about consulting. But the thing you get is it's not gonna just like don't save people, basically. That's my gift. Don't try to save others. You can be right, they cannot take it. I see that in my peers, I see that in my parents. You having the right stuff doesn't mean that you should apply that to others, right? Just everyone, please remember that people are stubborn. Don't try to change them or anything. Like this should be the folder page, I believe. Take a screenshot of it. But like, ah, don't just save your energy to improve yourself. Thinking about how other people's cases are so messed up. First, it makes me realize, like, okay, I'm lucky that my life is not being like that. And yeah, so thanks for not messing up my life like that. I do my stuff in time. I get it done whenever I want to, and I really appreciate myself for making my day better like that. Okay, so that's the five big goals. Let's review them. Write the novel, get it done. Get school done. Get black belt in 4 years. Turn anime into sorry, turn novel into anime. Get a job, stay in the U.S., preferably making the tuition back. I was here for private high school for 4 years and then 4 years of NYU. Tuition is going to be a lot. Preferably, I will be able to make it back, or else it's going to be a huge financial loss. And the last thing is just to sheesh is the philosophy. It is not written anywhere. Probably we should write it out. I will just continue to talk with you guys on this channel so that I figure out like what's on here. And now let's just do the fun stuff, which includes me sharing what's in, let's say like what's my stand power. So Michael Stand in the name is called Sado, and then just by act name, we just give different names to it. But let's say preacher and bishop be the phase two. Maybe there should be a phase three, but currently just thinking about the last form. Hope, and these are definitely like Catholic, as you can tell. But I will not make this religious. I name them like that just to make sure like I have the clothing color. That's the only idea I need to take from them. Nothing too religious, I suppose. But like, yeah, like Preacher and the design look pretty much like Enrico Bucci, but we will totally just remove a cross or any signs, not to offend anyone, I suppose. And now the powers. So the phase one would just be me. Uh, we just mentioned something called inner voice. So do you think of Charles Xavier in that way? But I can hear what's going on in your head, and I can just express my thoughts into your head, and yeah, and doesn't fully control others, or it's like it puts a voice in them. They would do stuff, feeling like they own, like they would feel like they want to do this, but not like I mandate you or anything. And good thing it works in animals. Phase two. Now it was just about mouthing. Basically, the stand would talk. You don't talk. The stand would talk, mouthing the voice into their heads. Now let's extend that into this would be a fist, believe it or not. Um, Now, phase two includes we have reached it in the novel so far. The fist of the stand would release sound waves, and by that I mean like it can express an order, just like uh, it would be so interesting if you can go see like how the evolution happened. But basically, I'm trying to just like express a order, a mandate from a good distance, and that somehow just like made the stand evolved a little bit into phase two, and now we can just like do the thing from the fist, release sound waves, and the sound wave still has contains an order in there, or yeah. So sound wave, and now we have a far attack. And then phase three, what I'm thinking about was now we have to think about macro, macro from One Piece, and also just thinking about Banshee from X-Men, basically. So basically, that would be me, my legs, and here I would just like the thing, right? You partially summon your stand, and so for me here, I just give out down whips using the stand's arms backwards so I can fly. So yes, it's about flying, and that well has no commands in these sound waves. They're just being sound waves now. Part four, what I'm thinking about was like what I learned in Chinese middle school physics about this quality of sound. Well, we have volume, we have pitch, and we have tone. When I think about the ultimate power should be just to have like like three knobs, just like when you release sound wave, you mess up these three, so it's sometimes super loud or it's like super high pitched, like a um what do you call that thing? Like a supersonic wave or something. And the tone would be just to disguise your enemies or something. Like you see the topic here is sound, but it's different from Koishi's form. We're like releasing sound as a sound wave. Like he's making sound turn into real objects, right? We're just like we're still messing up with sound itself right here. And then we're just like changing what is in the sound, right? Usually it's like outer, like the sound gets out, it pushes me, it makes me be able to fly like Banshee. But now we just internally, the ultimate form is to internally modify, modify what the sound is like before you even get it out. So this would be the end of preferably our third YouTube video. Please like and subscribe or anything. Yeah, I'm gonna end sharing. This would be the end of our lecture. How do I stop this? Stop share. Yeah. And thanks for watching thus far, I guess. Please put a comment, throw a thought anywhere. Uh, I would really appreciate any advice slash feedback on like what I should post. And it would be so cool if you can watch thus far. I doubt if you can, but if you do, I love you. Yeah, thanks.